Okay, hello. So this is Teacher Nat, and in this video we will be going through PSLE 2020 as you can see, right? So, as just like the previous videos, I will be going through most, if not all, of the questions, and you can feel free to pause as and when you like. All right. So come, let's move on. Now, question 1, right? This is by far blank hobby I've picked up. So by far, what does by far mean? When we talk about by far, it means number 1. So it's number 1, and what is it? It is the most enjoyable hobby, right? Now, number 2, Trixie was tickled when she caught Mr. Low looking at his reflection in the mirror, smiling at. So it's quite straightforward, right? You smile at yourself, which is, in this case, it is himself. Now, should be upset you left a mess behind, blank. So, usually, not usually, always, right? This blank, what is it determined by? It's determined by the first contraction, correct? So, what is it here? It is she would be upset. So basically this determines this. So what's the answer here is the opposite. Okay, it's the opposite. So what's the answer? It is 4. Now yours may be good, but ours blank better, Mrs. Tan told her neighbours who were showing off their new television. So what's it they're showing off here? It is new television, right? Is it singular, plural? It is singular. So ours what? Our television. So what is it? It is. Okay. By the end of next year, my brother, blank, a trained instructor, quite straightforward, this is will have become, right? Because why? By the end of next year, this is future. So therefore, will have become. Now 6, blank Ling put the key back on the table. I would not have spent time searching for it and be late. The answer here is had. How do we know? Because let's phrase it into a different sentence, right? If Ling had put the key back on the table, I would not have spent time searching out for it and be late. So answer here is 2, had. Now with blank clues to work on, we were amazed that the detectives managed to crack the case in record time. So what is it implying here? That there weren't a lot of clues, correct? So is it few or some? Can't be much, can't be many, right? But then few or some. So of course here it makes more sense that what it is few clues to make on to work on, because why? They were amazed that the detectives managed to crack the case in record time. Got it? Now, blank of taking the shortcut, one of the players asked before continuing. So as it can't be will you think, correct? Should you think of taking the shortcut? Not really. Are you thinking of taking the shortcut? Have you thought of taking the shortcut? So, this is, what does it mean? It means that they're asking in real time, right? Like, are you thinking, at this very moment, are you thinking of taking the shortcut? So, what is it? Stu. Okay, have you thought means what? It means I've thought beforehand. But I don't think it really makes sense here, correct? What makes sense here is I'm asking you on the spot. Are you thinking of taking the shortcut? Alright, so here it is, number 2. Now, question number 9. Suresh nearly shut the door, blank Marian's face. Okay, shut the door in someone's face. Okay, don't shut it at their face, on their face. Oh no, it's in their face, okay? Lastly, question 10. The heel of the shoe gave way, blank the usual wear and tear. So what is this? This is the effect, correct? Then this is the cause, the usual wear and tear. It caused the heel of the shoe to give way. So what is it? It can't be in spite of. What does in spite of mean? It means despite, correct? Giving rise to means what? It means to cause. Regardless of means what? Again, it is how to explain regardless of? Well, regardless of race, language, or religion, right? Like in the pledge, regardless of race, language, and religion. So what does regardless of mean? It means no matter. Okay, and resulting from, it means what? Caused by. So what's the answer here? Answer here is quite straightforward now that you know this, right? It is 4. Okay? Okay, so question 11. Usha had to blank more responsibilities when she became the leader of the debate team. So first, option 1, what does take in mean? Take in means to absorb, right? Take for example, you're a football player and you just scored a goal and you have thousands of fans cheering for you. So what does it mean? You take it in, or you take it all in, right? To absorb the scene, to kind of just appreciate it. Alright, then take 2. Take to means to flee. Okay, he took to the road. All right, when the police started chasing him, something like that. Okay, take on. Okay, take on. It means to pick up, and it's usually used for a challenge, or in this case, responsibility. All right. So just by saying that, I think you can kind of figure that the answer is 3, right? But take after, what does take after means? It means to resemble. Okay? Take for example, my nose takes after my dad's, something like that. All right? Now, question 12. By sharing their ideas with one another, the pupils blanked that there were different ways of looking at the problem to solve it. So, assume, presume, they're kind of the same, right? But assume, it means what? To guess without evidence. But presume, it is to guess with evidence. Or, based on the word, right? Pre meaning like, how do I say? Beforehand, okay? So beforehand the evidence, or guess with evidence, or guess based on probability. Now, what is an example of presuming? Let's say John is always late for school, right? For the past 5 days, he's always been late. So this week, on Monday, I think it's fair to say that I can presume he's late once again, okay? Because why? I'm basing it on prior evidence, on probability that chances are he's late. So I'm presuming he's going to be late again. Then discover is to realize. And anticipate is to expect. So knowing this, the answer is quite straightforward, right? Answer is 3, that they realized that there are different ways of looking at the problem to solve it. Now, 13, the news report provided a short blank of the incident before going into details of what happened. So here the answer is summary, right? I summarize it for you basically in a nutshell. Summary in a nutshell. Now, what is briefing? Briefing is usually intended to prepare, right? Like, take for example, you have a camp, like in Sec 3, you will have OBS. So before going for OBS, they'll give you a briefing to prepare you on what to expect, what to do, what not to do, blah, 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 okay? Extract is like a code. Okay, not necessarily a code, but an example is a code. Then draft is, right, first draft, second draft, before you actually publish your final work, okay? Few soccer players can blank Yong Han in his ability to dribble and score a goal. So here what are they comparing? They're comparing his ability to dribble and score a goal, right? They're saying few people can match his ability. Okay, so what's the best word that matches match here? Matches match. The option here is rival. Okay. Now oppose means to like go against. And obstruct means to hinder. So basically what rival means is more of like compete with. Okay, in this case it means compete with. So basically what they're saying is that few soccer players, they can compete with his ability. Alright, like for example Messi, right? Few players can rival his ability to dribble. Okay, now question 15. Last question here. A whale was spotted near the ship, so the passengers blanked their lunch midway and rushed off to see it. Now, rushed off to see it. So it kind of means like, I want you to picture this, okay? They're in the restaurant or they're in the cafeteria or whatever. They just eat halfway and then suddenly boom. Next second they're gone. Right, they immediately got up just to see the whale. So, here the answer is abandoned. Okay, abandoned, it kind of means, it also has the connotation, the idea that it happened quickly. But of course, abandoned also means ditched. Okay, so they ditched it midway. Dismissed, you guys know what dismissed is. Discarded is to throw away. Here, yes, I understand perhaps some of you might think it's discarded, but discarded is a bit slow, right? Like you're not in a very rush state. But here they're like, whoa, okay, I need to see this immediately. So therefore, abandoned. What is abolish? Abolish basically means to just, to put it simply, it's to remove or put an end to formally. Like this is the better definition. Okay. Now this is, of course, I'm just simplifying for you guys, but abolish is basically to put an end to formally. Like take for example, slavery, right? Abraham Lincoln, he abolished slavery. Okay. Now we move on to question 16 to 20. Okay, so question 16, which word here best matches similar to? Okay, so similar to means what? Just like, right? Means like a panther, basically. So what does signify, what does illustrate mean? These two words, it means to show. Oops, show. Now suggest, it means to show, but not directly. Okay, show or tell, but not directly. Take for example, we are going to the car, right? We have 6 people going to the car, and I say, before we even enter the car, I say, this car can only fit 5 people. So perhaps someone will ask, what are you suggesting? Now what I'm suggesting would be, perhaps one of us should take the bus. Alright, so that is what I'm telling, but not directly. I'm kind of hinting it. Okay, so hinting. So here, what does resemble mean? Of course, resemble, we kind of know the word resemble, right? It means look like. So here its answer is resemble. Okay, it best matches similar to. Now next we have question 17, countless. Countless basically means what? A lot, right? Too many that you cannot even count. So which word here best matches countless? It's quite straightforward. It is numerous. Okay. Now what's abundant? Just for the sake of explaining it. Okay. Abundant. Sorry. Now what's the meaning of abundant? Abundant basically means enough. Okay. There's abundant food for all of us. Now next 18, right? Second nature. Okay. Second nature. It basically, if you know, this is quite straightforward. It is instinctive. Okay. It's instinct to me. Second nature. Like for example, because I play football, right? If something drops on the floor, my second nature is to use my feet to juggle it and to kick it up, So that is my second nature. That is instinct for me. Now what's interior? Interior basically means inside. You might have heard this from the term interior design, right? Which means designing the inside of a house, of a room, of a building, whatever. That is interior design. Urgent, you guys know, quicken basically means fast. How do you know quicken? Because why? The root word is quick, right? And you can figure from there. Now 19, he had gone through his usual activities. When you have a usual set of activities, so those activities, it becomes a routine. Okay, this is quite straightforward. Then 20, might calm his nerves and will himself. Now you might have seen this word before, willpower. Okay, right? Like I have willpower. It means what? Mental fortitude, mental strength. So will basically stems from this word willpower. So here we're looking for something more commanding. Like I command my mental strength, not something slow, something smooth, which reassure, organized, and managed. They suggest like it's a bit slow, but direct. It's like I'm commanding myself to, okay, this second I can be calm, next second, boom, ready to go. Okay, so I direct my mental strength. I direct myself to focus on the race. Therefore, answer here is 20, option 1, direct. Got it? Okay, visual text. Now, for visual text, I just want to go through one question and one question only. Now, that question is question 25. Why is the colon used and how to play? So, firstly, and you guys know, okay, colon, it is used to provide explanation. Of course, it has many other uses, but more importantly, for this context, colon is used to provide explanation, which, all this, they are providing you with extra info. Now, the answer here is 1. Now, why is it number 1, right? Because I need you guys to think, if I give you explanation on how to play a game, what am I doing? I'm basically just telling you how to win the game, correct? Therefore, it is 1. It's not telling you about, I'm not giving you facts and info about the game. I'm not listing you again. I'm not listing you information about the game, okay? And I'm not indicating the information about the game in a specific order. Now, what does it mean if I list information about the game, right? Take, for example, the game is football. So if I list information about football, I'll be telling you about, I'll be giving you the history of football, who it was started by, when it was first played, when it was founded, alright? So that is giving you information about the game. But if I give you information to win the game, essentially I'm telling you how to play. Got it? Okay guys, so now we move on to grammar MCQ, and if I'm honest, I looked at this and this was actually a bit difficult. But anyway, we move on, okay? So everyone's handwriting looks different. We are taught to write in a certain way at school, blank. No one continues to write exactly that way. So we are taught to write in a certain way at school. That means what? They kind of expect us, they kind of want us to continue writing that way. But actually, this is not the case. So no one continues to write exactly that way. So what do we use here? We use but, okay? And one thing I like is that when we write, we cancel out the answer. Okay, so we know what options we have remaining. So this is good practice. Now we will gradually change the shapes and sizes of the letters we write blank we like. So what's the answer here? Answer here is as. Why? As can also mean in the way we like. Okay, so when we see enough of a person's handwriting, we will recognize blank script. It is like the way we recognize the works of a well-known artist. So script, what can it mean? It means here, like, you know, the work, the paper, right, or assignment. So if you see your friends, if you see a script and you recognize the handwriting, you can recognize whose script it is. Okay, so here answer is whose. Blah blah. Our personality affects the way we write blank. An expert is able to tell a person's character by examining how the letters and numbers blank formed on paper. Now, our personality affects the way we write. So, right? So it's because of how our personality affects the way we write. An expert is able to tell about us, is able to read us. So then we move on by examining how the letters and numbers blank formed on paper. So, letters and numbers. What is this? This is plural. So by examining how the letters and numbers are formed on paper. Okay, so we move on. Study of handwriting analysis is known as graphology. Although it originated as far back as 3,000 years ago in China, an established way of analyzing handwriting, again, well, now I'll ask you, okay, what's the subject here? Right, because this is basically gonna be a verb. And we know that our subject determines our verb. So what's the subject here? It is an established way. Right? So this is what we call subject-verb agreement, right? And this is singular. So an established way of analyzing handwriting was developed by the French, okay? Now, this is because why? They don't give you were. Now, if they give you were, then you got to make sure that you identify the subject and identify that it is singular subject. Okay, so blank graphology, there are at least 300 handwriting features to investigate. Answer here is in graphology. So I think, for example, graphology is a subject, basically. Okay, it is a subject. So take, for example, in history, we learn about World War II. In history, we learn about World War I. So in graphology, there are at least 300 features to investigate. However, not all 300 features. Okay, so answer here is not all. Then there's 7 blank. The features that we can study is the size of the handwriting. Here, so what? How many features do you have? You have 300, correct? Blank, the 300 features that we can study. So this is one of them. So among the features, right? Like among us. So among these 300 features, one of them is the study of the handwriting. So blank, large size handwriting suggests that the writer is an outgoing personality. Someone who writes small tends to be shy and introverted. Now what's the answer here? Answer would be while, right? Because why? You're making a comparison. Someone who writes big, extroverted. Someone who writes small, introverted. Are you keen to find out what your handwriting says about you? Okay. Okay, so now we move on to editing. So think tank is an unusual eatery. The cafe has furniture in bright colors that blank, super comfortable for relaxing meal. Now, what we need to know is that be, it actually has several forms. Okay, it's a verb and it has several forms. What are the other forms? Are, is, are, was, were, being. Okay, these are some examples, but what I need you guys to know is that be is a verb and it has several forms. So now obviously verb is determined by the subject, right? So what's the subject here? The subject is furniture. Now furniture, I get that you guys might be thinking, oh, this furniture is referring to tables, chairs, cupboards, shelves, whatever. So it's probably plural, but no, furniture, it's always singular noun. Okay, so you can have multiple tables, chairs, but you still use it as furniture. So therefore, what's the answer here is that the cafe has furniture in bright colors that is super comfortable for relaxing meal. Okay, not are but is, because we always refer to furniture with singular. Now, with the attractive arrangement, it's quite straightforward. Of potted plants and warm lighting, the atmosphere, this is spelling, so straightforward again. The menu offers local cuisine and a good selection of beverages. Beverages referring to your drinks. Our top recommendation is a TT red curry, which is simply scrumptious. So you notice it does a lot on spelling. So you really need to make sure that your spelling is refined, that your spelling is good, okay? With tender chicken pieces cooked to. You cook something to perfection. What makes Tin Tan unique? This is simple. Unique is an interesting collection of mechanical toys. Mechanical, like your mechanical pencil. So, mechanic, right? You break it down, then go. Mechanical toys that can be found lying about. Blah, blah, blah. Name of the eatery was inspired by Tin Tank wind-up toy from the 1950s that began, right? Because this is in the past. From the 1950s that began the owner's hobby of collecting toys. Tin Tank is situated appropriately in the newly opened toy museum. Appropriately. Okay, so all in all, this editing is quite straightforward. Only thing that was perhaps troubling was the first question. Alright? Now we move on to Complete Cloze, and honestly, this passage is actually quite difficult, but there are contextual clues that we can use to figure out our answer. So I'll try to explain as best I can in order to help you guys, okay? So, now question 51, it is a mobile phone equipped blank only with a digital camera, but also features of a computer. So the answer here is not only. How do we know? Because why? Not only is always paired with also. So the also here gives it away, alright? But also features of a computer, all blah into one device. So what's the answer here? All packed into one device. If you want to use any other word that indicates a similar meaning, like just put into one device, go ahead, okay? Some people are something reliant on their smartphones. So some people are so reliant, you want to say very reliant, extremely reliant, I think it will be accepted as well, on their smartphones that they find it hard to put them away, okay? Put them away just means what? Literally put it away, okay? To stop using it. Now, step into a restaurant today and you'll likely find diners preoccupied with their phones. That's increasing something that prolonged smartphone usage can affect the development of social skills. Youngsters have been found, okay? So you see, found, right? It's like a study, right? Like research. So there's increasing evidence or proof. I think proof will be accepted as well, okay? So we move on. Found to chat freely with their friends using messaging applications such as WhatsApp, but lack the confidence, okay, to make face-to-face conversations. Smartphone usage can also lead to our manners becoming blank than ever. So there's a comparison here, right? Because you see then, so worse than ever, okay? It's quite common to see someone blank off a conversation. So this is what we call phrasal verbs. It is put off a conversation. What does put off mean? To lose interest in. Okay? Impolitely ignoring the salesperson serving them. Some people may also show less restraint when they communicate online, giving harsh criticisms or making rude comments. You want to say remarks, I think will be fine as well. Something they will probably blah, blah, blah. There are other negative effects to note. Excessive smartphone usage has been linked. Okay, this is quite straightforward. Linked with poorer sleep quality. Experts have also advised against. If I advise you against doing something, it means what? I'm telling you not to do it. Okay, so they tell you not to over-rely on smartphones. After all, we no longer need to remember phone numbers when they are stored in our contact list. Neither, this is a bit tough on this one. Neither do we need to hold details in our head when we can set a reminder in our phone. Because why? They're telling you two things you do not need to know. You do not need to do anymore now that you have a phone. First, you do not need to remember phone numbers, and you do not need to hold details in your head. Okay, so there are two things. Therefore, neither. Now, it's quite straightforward. Despite the potential harmful effects, blah 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 blah, the use of smartphones is likely to grow as it brings about many benefits. So what they're trying to convey, right, is that there are many harmful effects, but there are also many benefits. So what is it? It's in agreement, right? Correct. So it's trying to say there are benefits too. So how do you say to as well? Alright, so this is a bit tricky. You kind of need to read between the lines, but once you've understood it, then it's quite straightforward. Okay, so all in all, this passage was quite difficult. So yeah, just look through it, try and understand. Perhaps rewatch this section if you have to. Okay. Okay, last part, comprehension. I'll just be touching on two questions, which are 75B and 80B. So 75B, what personal quality was Nanny Chu trying to encourage Po to have through her sly act? Now, what's the sly act, right? The sly act in this case, it was Nanny Chu pretending not to be able to tie Po's shoelace, correct? Which therefore it encouraged Po to tie his own shoelace. And what does this teach him? Then it teaches him independence, correct? Because he had to learn how to do it himself. Okay. Then 80B, what does Po's regret tell us about how he felt about his stay there? Why? Let's refer to the context, okay? Po gave her a farewell hug before he left with a tinge of regret. Why would he regret? Because at the start, what was he doing? He was complaining, right? I'll be bored stiff. And he didn't really want to go to Nanny Chu's place. Right? He had such a negative attitude. But in the end, perhaps he regretted his attitude. Okay? So if he regretted his originally pessimistic attitude, what does this tell us? It tells us that at the end, he gained an appreciation, right, for Nanny Chu. So what does it tell us about his visit? It tells us that Po enjoyed his stay there. Okay, so this one, it kind of requires us to infer, to read between the lines a bit. Okay, so this is a useful skill to have. Just make sure you're able to do that. Okay, now if nothing else, then this is Teacher Nat. There'll be upcoming videos for 2021 and 2022 as well, but you can check out our 2019 videos, our 2018 videos. Okay, if nothing else, I hope this video was useful to you and that you've learned something new. Okay, thank you for watching. Bye bye.